Hello and welcome to After Work Chill Reviews. My name is not than O. I'm very fond of everything horror, so don't come after me that I'm late for Halloween reviews. I mean, every day is Halloween for me with my little monster. Hi, this is Zuko. Yeah. Zuko! Zuko! Thank you so much for watching. If you... Zuko wants to bite me, by the way. Ow! What, Zuko? What do you want? What? Did you like my sleeves? Huh? They're moving? Yeah? What is it? Say bye! Yeah! I know Christmas is upon us. They're defrosting Mariah somewhere in the corner. But I'm a huge fan of horror and everything monsters. In fact, all of my research papers and my thesis is actually about horror movies. Even though, fun fact, and I use that a lot as a punchline, I cannot watch horror movies. Jump scares always get me, but I'm really fond of like the story and tension building and all the techniques that directors use to scare us. Anyways, I want to use all that knowledge in my videos and kickstart a series of monsters and everything horror. So if you're interested in this type of content, please don't forget to share and subscribe and all of those things. I'm very happy to start this series with Guillermo del Toro's The Cabinet of Curiosities. So Del Toro himself is a genius when it comes to horror design. I was very excited when I heard about this project. I know that all the people involved, the directors, well, most of them, get into that later, are very passionate and talented directors. And you know what? It's not always about the money. I'm looking at you, Baldy. You need to have talented and passionate people. That passion and love for the project really shows through the screen. Unlike, the Rings of Power and other stuff. So, grab your drink, grab a snack, sit back and relax and enjoy. And if my students are watching, this is apple juice. As an anthology series, each episode covers a wide range of horror genres. This show has a lot to offer, and I'm so happy that Del Toro was given this opportunity and budget to invite some of the most talented modern horror directors. The concept of the show gave me a nostalgic feeling. The way Del Toro materializes out of the dark to talk about the episode we are about to watch, paying homage to shows like Alfred Hitchcock's Presents, The Night Gallery, and Twilight Zone. The fact that they acknowledge the audience and directly talking to us does create a bond with the audience and kind of lures you in for the episode. The format was actually done before. Masters of Horror, another anthology series that ran from 2005 to 2007, created by director Mick Garris for the Showtime cable. And let me tell you, some of the episodes, especially Imprint, that had a lot of controversy around it, scared me for life. Throughout its run for 2 seasons, a lot of talented directors were invited. Directors like John Carpenter, to display their most disturbing stories. Let me know down in the comments if you remember those episodes. I'm so happy that the new generation has given opportunity to have an awesome horror series. Now, I won't go into details of the series. I just want to give some background for the directors because a lot of people are skipping some of the episodes because of the trailers. So, the fact that every director was given such free rein to make the stories they wanted to tell with a decent budget contributes a lot to the quality of the show. You have to accept the fact that horror is one of the genres that demands a lot of budget and hard detailed work in order for it to work. Yeah, sure, we had some low-budget, groundbreaking movies like the first Blair Witch Project and the first Paranormal Activity. But both of those movies were under the found footage subgenre, and they never showed the monsters, which is like the money shot for the horror movies. When it comes to this series, there was no single episode that I would consider a bad one. Each episode had a unique taste to it. Episode 1, Lot 36. Episode 1 was directed by Guillermo Navarro, a Mexican cinematographer and TV director who previously worked with Del Toro on Kronos and Devil's Backbone and has several directorial debuts on various TV series. Lot 36 has a lot of his personal touch, and his signature blue, yellow,
and brown filter. The story has a lot of anti-fascism and right-wing themes, and the core of the story is about a xenophobic veteran who purchases the rights to abandoned storage lots, and his decisions based on racism comes to consume him whole at the end. It has some brief and subtle jump scares, but the pacing was amazingly crafted that kept me on the edge of my seat and kept me guessing what will come next. I give it a solid 7.5 for this episode. Episode 2, Graveyard's Rats. It was directed by Vincenzo Natali. He's an American-born Canadian film director and screenwriter. One of his most notable feature films was In the Tall Grass, and he was behind the cult classic Kafkaesque Nightmare Cube. The episode is about Mason, a grave robber in desperate need of funds. The rats are very present throughout the episode, and the design of the giant rat was pretty decent. A horrendous watch for claustrophobics because it contains a lot of intense scenes in the tunnels. I give this a 5.8. As a claustrophobics, I didn't have fun with this. Episode 3, The Autopsy. I was super excited when I heard David Pryor is involved in this series. If you haven't watched The Empty Man, I highly recommend it, as it gives a different type of horror experience unlike any other movie. The episode didn't disappoint at all, and it gave me a nostalgic X-Files vibe because of its sci-fi horror genre. Autopsy 2 takes time before things get intriguing and anxiety-induced. An old man cutting up the dead in a rundown remote facility that doesn't even have a phone? Well, you're here for a treat. The setting definitely calls for some dread, and the cinematography is simple, stark, which adds a sense of reality to the outlandish plot. Honestly, the first few seconds were surprisingly picturesque. The camera focuses on what looks like a lovely night sky filled with stars at first glimpse. But as the lens slowly zooms out, you realize it's glittering coal. That brief sense of beauty is disrupted by an unexpected explosion at the mine, claiming several lives. Creators don't shy away from explicitly displaying organs being scooped by the doctor, and they looked pretty authentic. So if you're into gore, you're gonna enjoy this. David Pryor is a very skilled director when it comes to mind-bending storytelling, and I cannot wait to see what else he can do in the future. This was a solid 7.8 for me. I only cut some points because of the penis-looking monster at the end. Episode 4, The Outside. Directed by Anna Lily Amirpour, a British-born American film director, screenwriter, producer, and actress, which her most notable work is A Girl Walks Alone at Night. The episode is a classic tale of be careful what you wish for, done with all the tricks you would expect from Del Toro and Amir. The title kind of gave me the Black Mirror vibes, and the episode is about a woman who tries to fit into her job and live up to the society's beauty standards. Again, the beauty of an anthology, man. This episode was so different that the entire time you question it. Is it happening in real life? Is it inside the protagonist's mind? Or is she even alive? A very interesting watch. I know a lot of people kind of skip this one, but trust me, it's good. I give it a 7. Episode 5, Pickman's Model. Directed by Keith Thomas, which his notable work are The Vigil and the remake of The Firestarter that nobody watched. It is based on the short story by H.P. Lovecraft, starring Ben Barnes from Dorian Gray. What is it with this guy and evil painting? And oh my god, teenage years crush, the one and only Crispin Glover is here. Super spooky episode. It kind of failed me on the soundtrack and sound editing. It didn't bring anything special to the eerie scene. I give it a 6. It sits somewhere in the middle. But the story was pretty good. Obviously, it's Lovecraft. Episode 6, Dreams in the Witch House. So the director gets a lot of shit and has a very interesting filmography. Okay, here we go. It's Twilight. Okay, she's the director of Twilight. Helen Catherine Hardwicke. She doesn't really give me anything to defend her. Other horror films from her is the Red Riding Hood. Remember that mess? Nobody watched that. The episode focuses on love, death, life, and an alternate dimension, and it is based on a short story by H.P. Lovecraft. The creators of this episode aren't able to do justice to Lovecraft's amazing nightmarish story about otherworldly dimensions and human sacrifice. Instead, we get a childish, simplistic version. The story is about a boy who loses his twin sister, and And after his death, he gets into all things supernatural. Honestly, the first act was pretty good, especially the parts about gold liquid. However, as soon as I get into other dimension, it kills it for me. And watch out for that damn rat with a tiny human face. It sucks. By the way, we do have director's signature blue, cold, wet tones filter and awkward close-ups here. Robert Grint was amazing in this role, but I have to blame some of the cringy acting on the director's decision. The weak delivery and the fact that she thought this is the best take for the line is just questionable. I give it a 5.5. It was a disappointment. Episode 7, The Viewing. It was directed by Panos Cosmatos. Honestly, not much on his filmography. However, only thing that stands out is Mandy starring Nicolas Cage. Remember that acid trip movie? And he was a co-writer in Stranger Things, which I tell you where it shows, just wait for it. The color palette and the lighting in this was fantastic. The most majority of the episode was shot in this beautifully designed room, which was both nostalgic and futuristic at the same time. The issue that I had with this episode has to do with the monster design. The creature reminded me of Vecna from Stranger Things. It was a very conversational, tension-based episode, but despite its slow build-up, the payoff seemed a bit weak to me, which I gotta admit is served the purpose of the series of allowing directors to express themselves. I'm gonna give this a 6. Episode 8, directed by Jennifer Kent, who is an Australian actress, writer, and director. You may know her for Babadook, one of the most groundbreaking and disturbing movies in the modern horror genre. I was super excited for this episode. It was based on a short story by Del Toro himself. Honestly, they saved the best for last. I can see why they've decided to give this story to Kent. She has this talent of showing grief and loss through very complex scenery. Like visually, there are so many things going on. The outdoor scenes are stunning. And watching the Bradleys, the couple who are going through some tough times, and each of them are showing different reaction to loss and grief, capturing the behavior of birds looked straight out of the wildlife documentary. But the scenery also had a personal domestic touch as the couple seemed to be genuinely fond of the winged creature. There are some themes of freedom when it comes to Nancy and how she wants to be free out of her grief and sadness. So despite their shared trauma and the grief, Edgar and Nancy are the happiest when they are doing their job. The episode pays homage to old horror tropes for scares. Banging on the doors in the middle of night in a large creepy house is still as eerie as ever. I give it a solid 9.
To be honest, the series wasn't anything groundbreaking. It wasn't anything new. It didn't have anything new to say either. I'm happy we are living in an era that horror is not at the bottom of every joke. That people like me are out and proud about it and saying like, yes, we do enjoy horror movies. Because before we were mocked, or we would tell us you're serial killers or you're psychos. No, it's gaining its artistic voice, let's just say. I want 10 seasons of this. Seriously, I want to see more talented and passionate directors putting out their stories, putting out their visions without the interference of studios and everybody else who dictate them what to show and how to show it. Give all the money and time that you have to Del Toro. He knows how to make good movies. And thank you so much for watching. You can check out my other videos about Rings of Power and maybe understand my beef with Jeff Bezos. And I'll see you next time.